Mike Motivation. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And let's build a community together. Community of logical thinkers. Hit the like button, comment, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. And let's get right into the show. What am I going to talk about today? And that's what we're going to get into. Logic versus emotion. Which one are you? Let me know in the comments. Are you a logical person or are you an emotional person? Let me know in the comments. Which one? Which side do you lean towards? Me, I'm more logical than I am emotional. Life kind of pulled me toward that way. And that's what works for me, logic. To me, emotion is not a bad thing, but emotion sometimes can mislead a thought pattern of what you see versus logic. You can build a structure to go off of. And if you learn new information, you learn something new, you can go in and make the correction to the step in the logic that was based on previous information, and you can update it, to new information. Emotion is just reactionary. It comes and it goes. Like anger comes and it goes, unless you just stuck in anger or stuck in any kind of emotional reaction. Like I say, I'm more logical, and I found out that I was more logical once I started working in information technology. I started to find out how logical I am, like coming up with a system of how to handle things instead of just going off of raw emotion. Because like I say, emotion can change just like that. If you build a logic and go off of that, kind of like building a program, the only thing that changes if you go in and change the code. But if you don't, it stays the same and it keeps running. So an example is if somebody has this kind of logic, when you wake up in the morning, you wake up, you do hygiene, like take a bath, brush your teeth, put some clothes on, logical, right? But not everybody may not do that. Some people may feel emotional about it. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. But when you have a logic set, 80, 90% of the time, you're going to do what's within the logic or the structure that you set. So going into the next one is don't allow emotion to blind you from logic. Sometimes that I've seen over my life is that sometimes if you're lean more towards the emotional side, structure doesn't make sense, or too much logic doesn't make sense to a person that's emotional, because some people like to crash out. Some people like to argue about something they're emotional about. Then 10 minutes later, it never happened. When you're a logical person, sometimes you have systems in place. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not even for to argue about that. That don't even make sense. It has to make sense. Even if a logical person don't agree with an emotional person, I'm just speaking from a person of logic, it has to make sense. And a lot of times when you're a logical person, you see through stuff. Just because I understand don't mean I agree. Just because I'm listening to you, that doesn't mean that everything that you say is law. But I got enough logic in my head that I'm not going to challenge you on what's right and what's wrong, because that's your perspective. From a logical standpoint, that's your perspective. And the only thing that I say to people is let your results do the talking. A lot of times when people are emotional about something, they can know that is not working. They can know that the data says different, but because you're so emotional about it, you're blinded from the logic that makes sense. So don't let emotion blind you from the logic. A lot of times, I've seen this more times than not. I'm guilty of it myself. I had to change my logic. Data triggers a lot of people that highly emotional about certain topics, the data. And what we don't realize is the world is ran off of data. Working in information technology, I can tell you that it is nothing to do with emotion. It's all data. When it says, I want you to think about this. Why do you think Dollar Generals are in low-income neighborhoods? I want you to think about that. Small towns, low-income neighborhoods, you get past a certain point, you don't even see Dollar Generals anymore. What do you think the data says to Dollar General that the only place that you will have success is in a low-income neighborhood? Don't allow emotion to blind you from the logic and data that's out there. You can learn from the data, but you have to be able to look at data without the emotion. The structure of logic, when a person is logical, they have a structure of how they do things, whether people agree with it or not, whether a person of emotion agree with it or not. The thing that throws people off that's emotional is there are things in life that people don't believe that you can have a logic about, like dating. People don't believe that there's no logic. There are certain people, not everybody, but there are certain people out there that just don't believe that you can choose before you fall in love. They don't believe that both parties are accountable. They don't believe that it's another person's fault instead of saying it's both parties' fault. They played a part in it. Now, the percentage of accountability, that could be, from a logical standpoint, that could be debated. But if something between two people doesn't work out, there is some logic there that has to be visited. Because the thing about respect is if both people don't agree on the same things, you're going to lose elements of respect because everybody don't agree on the same thing, right? Everybody don't play by the same rules. Everybody don't look at things the same. Even in the same area, there are still people that don't look at things the same. But when you have a logic for yourself and you say, I'm not going to do this, and even if you make a mistake, you learn from it and you add it to your logic, I'm not going to do that. Don't allow anybody to hold your mistakes over your head. Everything starts with me. Everything starts with you. Before you get to the group, before you get to the other stuff, it starts with you. What is your internal logic when you operate, when you become an adult? Is responsibility a part of your logic? Is being reliable a part of your logic? Is being able to communicate with a diverse set of people, is that a part of your logic? So a lot of people don't like the structure of logic because a lot of times structure don't allow a lot of room for emotional decisions or impulse decisions. That's why, in my opinion, I've learned this from myself with finance and budgeting. Budgeting your finances is a logic, and it keeps you from overspending and spending money and not knowing where it went. But a person that's impulsive doesn't like budgeting because it puts a structure around what you're doing instead of just saying, well, I know I'm supposed to be budgeting, but I want to do this anyway. That's when they emotional and logic start to butt heads. What I'm saying is you can have both. We human. People have emotions, but don't let your emotions become so powerful that it rules out the logic, common sense. Because common sense always has a way of coming back and showing you that you should have had common sense, whether we believe it or not. Why majority of people don't like logic? We just talked about that. Logic, it forces you to think about everything that you're doing. Why am I doing this? How did this lead to this? How did this thing happen? It just didn't magically happen. What led up to this? It forces you to be accountable and intentional about what you're doing. Am I saying you're going to be perfect? No, but you can strive to be better though. You can't use I'm not perfect to just do anything and everything. You use I'm not perfect to understand that, yes, I made a mistake, but I'm going to strive to be better. Not to, yeah, I made a mistake and I'm going to do it again. I don't care. I've been in that mindset. It's not the way to go because it's easy to rationalize in your head. But when you have logic, it's hard to rationalize past the logic once you build the logic on a solid foundation. But majority of people don't like logic because it makes you have to think about what you take in, what you're listening to, what's your habits, all of those things. You have to logically think, does this make sense? Making solutions instead of feelings. What's the solution that you come up with? How do you resolve issues? There could be multiple solutions. Some people can talk it out civilly without talking over each other and work through the issues and keep it real. Like, what are we really disagreeing about? But when somebody's emotional about something, it's hard to get the main issue about what's being disagreed about because it goes all over the place. Instead of saying, I don't like the fact that you wear tube socks, we talking about all kind of socks now. You don't like the fact that I'm wearing tube socks, but we didn't got the ankle socks, Nike socks, a Reebok socks, who knows? But we got away from the whole logic of what we're arguing about. So what's the solution? Instead of arguing for hours, you got to ask yourself, what's the solution? Ask the person. We don't agree about this. Now, what's the solution? What's the compromise? A lot of times when you, highly emotional people, they don't like to compromise. It's almost, from when you're looking at it from a logical place, it could seem like they love chaos or it's like a set of people. They love chaos and they love to argue, but they never talk about a solution. They love to look at this. They love to make points about this, but they never come up with a solution. I'll give you an example. People are really emotional about college or going to school, talking about debt, student loans, and all this. This is a solution that I would get you to think about. If you grow up in the inner city, you don't have the resources, you don't have the connections, you don't have the network of people that you can learn and grow with. What else are you going to go off of once you graduate high school? Knowing that a high school diploma is only going to get you maybe a little bit above minimum wage. Is there student loans in college? Yes. Do you have to take all the student loans? No. If you take the student loans, do you have to spend it, blow it all? You don't. You literally can take the extra that you get from a student refund and you can put that into an investment account. You can put that into stocks. You can invest it. But a lot of times people don't be good stewards over the money that they get. Solution, be a good steward over your finances. But a person that's emotional will make every excuse why they don't want to be a good steward. They want to do whatever they want to do and then complain about the same thing later. When you're logical, it's hard to complain about things that you knew that you should have been better at. And I'm one of them people. I can't complain about that things didn't go the way I want them to go when I was younger, because I was doing the things that I was doing and it wasn't producing a better situation. So I had to come up with a solution. I had to change my logic, change the way that I think, and make better choices and decisions. Another thing about college, right? When you go to college or you go to a trade, you have to know what is valuable in your area that you live. What skill am I going to learn from this? What skill can I leverage in the corporate world to increase my value? That's the solution. Thinking about these things before you go to college. Having a strategy before you go to college. Don't go to college and take some class or a degree that does not have value to it. That's the solution. If you go to college, get a degree in something that has value to it, and understanding that not only am I getting a degree, but I'm learning skills that I can apply in real life, that's the solution. The more you can think about solutions, the better off you be. Not all the time, but sometimes emotion is not solution-based. It's just how you feel at that time. But it's not coming up with a solution. It's just wanting to be heard, wanting to express what you feel. And a lot of times, once you get that out the way, you move on to something else. You're not even thinking about that anymore. But when you're logical about things, you realize that there are some things that I need to do in order to see change, in order to increase my chances of success. I need to come up with some solutions that's logical and make sense. So with that being said, logic versus emotion. Let me know which side are you on. I'm more of on the side of logic. Do I have emotion? Sure. But I am more logical, probably to a fault, than I am emotional. My emotional responses are not the greatest in the world. I just wasn't raised in that kind of environment. And I am more logical, a solution-based person than I am emotional. A lot of people don't like that. I get it. But I have enough logic in my head to understand that whether you're logic or whether you're emotional, you're not going to be liked by everybody. It's just how the world works. It won't work. You will never be 100% liked by everybody. It won't happen. I've never met anybody that was 100% liked. And then if you do, you feel like it's a scam, because even online with these some of these channels, you're starting to see it now. They have a lot of followers, but the views don't match up. You got 1 million followers, but you're only getting 5 views. I'm not buying views. I'm trying to build an audience from the ground up. Not easy to do, but it can be done, and you're looking at it right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm not worried about trying to, be this viral person. That ain't my thing, not my logic. I'm just trying to reach people that's out there that's like me, that actually think, that don't fall for the noise, don't fall for a lot of this crazy stuff on social media, but trying to reach people that want to think, that want to develop a logic and come up with solutions. I believe that our young kids, the thing that makes it tough is you don't have the resources. I don't have the resources to do the things that I want to do. That's what I'm trying to get to. Have the resources from a logical standpoint. Knowledge, money, power. You got to have the knowledge to get to the money. Then you got to have the money to get to the power. Build a facility that allows kids to come to after school and talk to them about life, the logic of life, how logic is an emotion. You can actually use the two, but I'm more for a logical thing, because logic can save you from going down an emotional path that can lead you to a world of hurt, a world of being in the system, a world of regret. So with that being said, Thank you for watching. Mike Motivation. Let's build a community. Comment, let me know what you think. Hit the like button. Let's build a community of logical thinkers, solution-based people, because everybody has a problem, but does everybody come up with a solution? Sometimes coming up with a solution requires you to think about some things. Sometimes coming up with a solution challenges you to come out your comfort zone. But when you do it and you come up with solutions, you will start to see things change around you. Not everybody likes logical people, because a logical person can see through the nonsense and can look at things objectively or look at things from an unbiased place, because a lot of people like you to be biased. But when you're logical, it's hard to be biased, because you can see if a person's bogus, they bogus, you know what I'm saying? No matter who it is. But a lot of people don't like that, and that's fine too. I built that into my logic. That's fine. So, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments, are you more logical or emotional? And let's work toward building solutions, not getting stuck in that emotional path. Mike Motivation, thanks for watching, and